Hello. Hello, hello. Okay, I'm going to get right down to it because it is boiling today. So I'm going to try and just do the flower and be done. Because where I have to stand is like right in the window, if you know what I mean. And the sun is just beating down. It's meant to be like 100 degrees today here. So I don't know where you're from, but that's really hot for England. So today I'm going to show you how to do the no knot start, which I said I was going to show last Monday, except I didn't get to show because we used 3 strands, didn't we, on Monday? And you can't actually fold over 1.5 strands to make 3. So today we're going to use 6 strands. So I can show you the no knot start. We're going to do straight stitches and we're going to do a detached chain stitch. And that's pretty much it today. So we're going to do these ones, these big ones here. So there's 1, 2, 3 all together. Yeah, let's get started. So what we're going to do is get a really, really, really long piece of thread. So if you normally work with like your elbow to your finger, get double that length. Okay, so let's just get quite a bit here. I'm using a nice light purple, and I'm going to do the inside of the flowers, like a light pink. That's what I have in the drawing, so I hope that it's going to look nice. And we're going to use 6 strands, but remember, it's the no knot start, so we're going to separate it into 3, because 3 and 3 make 6, if you didn't know. I'm guessing that Miles' nap is going to be really short because this morning he took a nap for an hour and a half, which is unheard of. So I have a feeling this one's going to be only 30 minutes. Okay, so what you're going to do is put these 2 ends together. So we've got the 2 ends here like this. Yeah, put them together. And on the very other end, you're going to have a little loop. Can you see? Like that. Now thread your needle with the 2 ends end. And leave your little tail. So this is what you've got. So you've got 3 strands folded over to make 6 strands. You've got the tail here. And this end over here is a loop. Okay? Are you with me? Let's zoom in and then you can see a little bit better. What we're going to do is do straight stitches in 6 strands and fill these in. We're going to go from the tip here and we're going to go all the way almost in the middle of these here. So I've made these little loops like this. We're going to go to about there. If you need to, you can actually make a line around so that you know where to stop. Okay, so that means from here to this line, from here to this line. You don't have to make a line, but some people, they like to have that guideline in there, if you know what I mean. They're all going to get covered up by the next stitch we do. So it doesn't actually matter if some are longer or some are shorter or anything like that. Okay, so you're going to come up. You can come up at the tip or you can come up and down here. It doesn't matter because there's not going to be a knot there. Yeah, pull it through a little bit and then go down the other end to make your straight stitch. Okay, pull your needle out. And this right here is where you need to pay attention. This is the no knot start. So we're going to pull this through. And you see the loop on the end? You're going to put your needle in that loop and pull it tight. Remember, we're not pulling it so tight that we're like puckering the fabric or pinching it together. We're just pulling it so that it lays flat. And this is what you should have. It doesn't matter if the loop is at the very top or at the very bottom, wherever it ends up being. But this is the no knot start. So obviously it works with even numbers of threads. So if you need two strands, take 1 really long strand, fold it in half. If you need 4 strands, take 2 really long strands and fold them in half. It just doesn't work with odd numbers, unfortunately. So we've got our first little one there. Now this is where you can decide how you want your flower to look. You can either double this up and do 2 stitches here, so it's a little bit thicker line and makes 12 strands, or you can just go around the whole thing with just the 6 strands. So let's do it one time round. You can also add more straight stitches if you like the look of it being a little bit fuller, or you can add less if you like them to be a bit more spaced out, you know? So this is where you can kind of take ownership of your own hoop and make it look how you want it to look. So we're just doing straight stitches here. That's it. Heritage blankets. This is very cool. I've never seen that done before. I think they do that a lot in cross stitch, you know. Now the only bad part about starting it this way is that because you have to fold it over, you have to have a really long piece of thread. And then of course you have the leftover thread because you have to fold it in half. But I always end up using that. So it's never, like I'm never like wasting it, if you know what I mean. The other thing is last year in the advent calendars, I made these little thread savers. So if you have one, you can grab one of those out. Fantastic way of starting, but don't the way you thread the needle to get that loop. I showed the way to thread the needle to get the loop in the beginning of the video. So if you came in a little bit later, then just wait till the video ends and then you can rewind and watch the little first bit. But yeah, if you've got one of these, then what you can do is take your extra thread, yeah, and you can fold it in half or fold it in a couple to make it a little bit more manageable. And then you can loop this through and then keep this here like this. So the little thread savers, super good, especially if you've got a certain color palette for a whole project and you've got a lot of these spare threads. You can kind of keep them for next time. No worries. I'll probably end up, if I do more than one flower, I'll probably end up, or if I go around this twice to get 12 strands, I might end up redoing my needle. And if I do, I'll show it again then. So again, if you like these a little bit closer together, you can make them closer together. If you like them farther apart, you can make them a little bit farther apart. Someone's doing a bit of DIY in their backyard, and I just cannot imagine doing DIY right now because it's going to be a scorcher. An absolute scorcher today. So the other thing about doing the no knot method is obviously we took the 3 strands and folded it in half to make 6. I find that when I do it that way, the threads are a little bit more untwisted. So if you've got 6 strands, they're kind of all twisted up like this. Where is it? There we go. And they kind of make almost like one unit, like one bar or one line. And it's really easy to see when you've done like just 2 stitches next to each other because it's very, very much looks like this. Do you know what I mean? Just like 2 straight lines, 2 stitches. Whereas when you separate them a little bit, the strands kind of all blend together a bit more. So I'll go around and I'll do, I'll show you at least one more stitch on top of it so that it's actually 12 strands. And then you can see what I mean instead of it being like one twisty 6 strands. You go around the second time. You can go a little bit above or below it. You can go right next to it. Let's just zoom in right here. So I've done this one here with 12 and these ones here with 6. And you can kind of just see that it doesn't look like one like 2 pieces. It kind of like blends together a bit more. Do you know what I'm trying to say? You can make them literally right next to it, or you can come up a little bit above, like right above, and do it again. So this is what the 12 strands would look like all the way around. And this is completely up to you if you want to do the 6 strands or 12. You could also do 12 through your needle and do it at once instead of going round the flower once and then go round the flower again. Sometimes I find that when I do 12 strands in my needle, it pulls the fabric a lot, making the fabric a little bit loose. So you have to really keep an eye on your fabric tension so that you're not making the fabric pucker or anything like that as you're going round. Someone asked in my DMs the other day about, actually it was this morning, I think, about the glitter watercolor paints that I used. And I'm pretty sure I got them from Michaels. But I just looked on their website at Michaels and I couldn't find it there. So I might have actually gotten it from Hobbycraft here, but they also have it from Amazon. So I found one super similar on Amazon. I can link it in my stories if anybody wants it. I think they're called Pearl watercolors. I'm absolutely sweating already. Let's see if I can keep the same one. Oh no. I've only got one more stitch. Oh, Ruth said that Hobbycraft had them yesterday. Then you know what? I probably got them at Hobbycraft then and not at Michaels. I was almost certain that I got them from Michaels in America. But when I looked at the Hobbycraft website yesterday, when I Googled like glitter watercolor, I did see them at Hobbycraft. So I must have got them there and not at Michaels. So I'm sorry to have led you astray. I want to do this one last stitch. Yes, look at that. Okay, so there's what that looks like. Obviously you don't have to do the next part if you don't want to do the next part, but if you do, then I'm going to show you how to do it. So we're going to do little detached chain stitches in the center. If you want them to be a little bit more delicate, you can use less strands, or you can use more strands if you want them to be a little bit thicker. I'm going to try 4. Also, some stitches are not great for the no knot start, so you might have to have a little play. I think the detached chain stitch is not amazing for the no knot start. I find that they get a little bit. I'm going to try 3 because I feel like that's going to be too thick. So we've got, the first part was straight stitch, 6 strands, and I went around twice. So each little petal has 12 strands in total. And I've got this really light colored pink. It's 1012 from Anchor. And the purple is 870 from Anchor. And then here we've got 3 strands. Actually, oh, there it is. I want the smaller needle. And then we're going to do a detached chain stitch. So this is a new stitch we didn't learn yet. Well, if you've done a stitch along with me, you've learned it, but we didn't learn it for this stitch along yet. You just do a little knot on the end like we normally do. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to come up on this line, and we're going to come make a little loop, and then wherever you put your next stitch, that's how long your petals are going to be. So remember I said come down with these purple petals or purple stitches kind of into these loops that were in the middle. So for example, we had these here, and I told you to come all the way down to about there. So these next stitches are going to overlap those other ones about, not halfway, but like 3/4 of the way, or 1/4 of the way, 1/4 of the way. How did you make the knot of the maybe she means the end of the knot? Go to the first video. So it's the video number 1, day 1, not the prep video, but day 1. And I show how to do the different ways you can do a knot. So that's totally worth watching. Okay, so let's do this one. We're going to go up here. You're going to go down in the same place, right next to it, or even the same hole, not through the knot, which I often do. You're going to leave that loop like this. Now, wherever you come up next, that's how long your stitch is going to be. So if you come up here like this, then your stitch is going to get caught like that, and that's how long your stitch is going to be. If you come up way up here, then it's going to be that long. You're going to have long stitches like this. Okay? So really pick where you want your stitch to go. I want it to be about this, like that. Okay? And you're just going to pull that tight. Remember, not too tight, because we actually don't want to pucker our fabric or anything like that. I feel like 4 strands probably would have been better, but let's just do a couple and see what it's like. Ooh, we're going to get a knot. And then you're going to put your needle down on the other side of that thread to tack that thread down. Okay? Now, as we go around here, some of these will actually go into, so we're not doing them in between each of these. Some of them will go like almost on top of these. So don't feel like you have to kind of squeeze them in. If it's easier to just put one in the middle of each one, you can do that. Or you can space them out how you want to space them out. Okay, and then put your needle on the other side of that. So again, wherever you put your needle next, that's how long that little stitch is going to be. So if you put it quite a far ways away, you're going to end up with a loop with like a really long stitch at the very end. We just want a little tacking stitch just to kind of hold that loop in place like that. And we're going to go all the way around and fill it in. Yeah, I would totally do 4 strands. I feel like 3 is okay, but I think 4 would look better because they would just fill it in a little bit more. But that's just my personal preference. If you are happy with this, then do it that way. Totally fine. And we want these to be pretty close on the bottom. So notice I'm coming up almost touching the last ones. The other way you could do this, if you're like, ooh, I don't know how far apart to put them so that they all fit. The other thing that you could do, especially if you have a lot of thread, is you can put a couple guideline ones in. So you can put one kind of coming straight down, one to the side, one to the side, one up, almost like a cross. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then fill in each section. And sometimes that's a little bit more manageable, especially if it's your first time stitching and you think, actually, I don't know how big these are. I don't know how far apart to put my stitches, and you're having a bit of trouble. I'm so thirsty even already because it's just so warm. I put the umbrella up for Jessie outside so she can have some shade, some extra shade. I just feel bad. Yeah, Saturday. It was so warm on Saturday, and there was no shade at all in my backyard. So I decided I'm going to Little. So me and Carol walked up to Little with Miles, and I said, I hope they have umbrellas. And they did. 39 pounds. Then our neighbor, a long time ago, maybe 2 years ago, gave us an umbrella stand because we needed to like tent up our cover for our furniture because it was like sagging in the middle and like getting all these puddles and stuff. And it was like quite rusted and didn't really work anymore. And they were like, we've got one. We're not using it. You can have it. And I was like, oh, okay. So I took it home and took a hammer to the little turny thing that was stuck. Shoved that umbrella in there. What's going on here? And finally we got some shade. Oh, I think he's awake. I'm almost done anyways. Actually, no, he's going back. Maybe. His head's turning. I'll give it a few minutes. You know, when they turn their head side to side, like, ooh, I don't know. Are you awake? Are you not awake? I don't know. So this is, in essence, what we're going to do. And then we're going to do the exact same thing for all of the other flowers. I think the only tricky flower is going to be this one here. That's cut off. You can either do them here and then do some really small ones like this. Just make sure that they're not right next to each other when you do them. So you're going to come up here and go down a little ways away so it looks like it's just the tip. You can probably get away with just that, really. And that would be all right. But everything else will be the same. So yeah, these are the 3 flowers that we're doing today. These are getting a bit big on this side. Okay, just a couple more left, and then we'll be done. So there we go. And actually, I checked the videos on YouTube, and I don't know why, but some of them were paused, so I've just deleted them and re-uploaded them because I don't know why they were like stuck on part of it. So they should be on YouTube. All of last week's videos should be up there already, and then for this week, I'll try and put them up each day so that. Because we leave on Friday, don't we? So earlier in the video, I did say you can put them where you want to. I'm going to put mine a bit closer because I used 3 strands, and I feel like 4 strands would probably be better, if you know what I mean. They'd fill it up a little bit more. I'm just kind of spacing them out. Some of them are going in between each of the purple petals, and some of them are overlapping the purple petals just a little bit. So it depends on how you can fit them in. If you have 4 strands, then your line's going to be a little bit thicker. So going in between each one might work out as a good guide. Does that make sense? So I've got just one more left here to do. Okay. There we go. So let's zoom out. You can see how it looks. And that's all we're doing today. So we're not actually doing the middle. That's okay. Jasmine says, I was half listening, trying to watch sneakily whilst at work. That's totally fine. Don't worry about it. So yeah, so do this one. We've got half one here, and we've got a little hidden one over here. So yeah, that's all from me, guys. So I hope you enjoy. I've just found out that on Friday, which I didn't know this before when I did the stitch along. I thought it was a later flight, but the Friday flight is leaving at 1. So we actually have to leave our house really early, like at 7, in order to drive down there and be in London with enough time to check in and stuff. So I might have to do the last video on Thursday. So do 2 videos on Thursday, or I'll bring all my stuff and do it whilst I'm there. So we'll see how it works out, because I really don't want to rush anything. And I don't want to leave anyone feeling like, wow, I didn't get enough information. Do you know what I mean? So I know that my mom's got stuff there as well, so I don't have to bring like everything, but I'll bring all my favorite things if I do have to. So we'll just see how we get on. Okay. And then we'll kind of make up our mind on Wednesday, Thursday, what's going to happen. But I just wanted to let you guys know in case you're like, she's leaving on Friday. How is this going to work out? So yeah, that's it for me. Enjoy your Monday. If you are in a hot place like me, make sure you're having lots of water. And yeah, I'll speak with you guys tomorrow. All right. Bye.